Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about a plan that I had coming into today to play some PayPal put options. We had earnings come out yesterday, not the best earnings for PayPal, and it looked like it was going to have a little bit more downside after looking at a few technical factors this morning in the pre-market and also intraday. I did take a PayPal put option early in the day, not the best entry, and it did fake me out. And I want to go over what happened, why I got faked out, why I didn't have the best entry. And then later in the day, I re-entered these put options. And right now in the after hours, it is looking very good for my position. So I want to review this trade with you, talk a little bit about how important it is to get proper entries and how I got faked out of this position. And then later in the day, why did I re-enter and why did I think that this technical play would eventually work out? So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Hopefully you take some education out of it. If you enjoy it after watching, press that like button, subscribe to the channel for some more videos, and make sure to press that bell notification so that you know every single time that I post. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and start this video here on the 5-minute chart, and then we'll zoom out to the 4-hour, and I'm going to show you some technicals and why I went ahead and took this put option today on PayPal, and one that I am still currently holding into the after hours right now. So here is PayPal on the 5-minute chart. Looking at this chart, you can see the big earnings move lower. We tried to rebound, and we failed 3 times here in the after hours and pre-market at $288 a share. So 1, 2, right here, and 3, we failed 3 times at that 288. So coming into today with this, I had this idea of seeing if PayPal could fall off this 288 and continue lower down to a previous support level that I was targeting. And now I want to zoom out and show you all those levels here on the 4-hour chart. Another reason why I was so interested in 288, I'm going to go ahead and delete the gray areas here. The other reason why I was so interested to see if PayPal could reject 288, the reason for that is because 288 was a previous support level back in the past. So right back here, you guys can see 288 was a very, very important support level that we could not break above in the pre-market this morning. So that means previous support was turning into resistance this morning in the pre-market. And that is what made me think maybe this is a little bit of a break and retest to the downside for some put options to potentially play. If I go to minus PayPal, if you guys are used to just looking at upside, here's minus PayPal. And minus PayPal will show you, which is the inverse of PayPal. This will show you that this was actually a break and retest. If you were trading bullish here on the inverse of PayPal, you guys can see we had previous resistance. We broke through it, we retested it, we found support and moved higher. Now, if we go back to regular PayPal, not the inverse of it, this is the exact same thing to the downside. So I try to trade these break and retests quite a bit on the charts, and I was looking at one on an inverse chart basically for the downside today on PayPal, and that is why I was so interested in seeing if PayPal could fail this 288 coming into today looking for put options. Now, the next level that I was targeting on PayPal was 275. That is my price target here on this put option. Now, the reason I say that is because that is the next area where PayPal found some resistance, which I believe will turn into support here on PayPal. That would be my price target. Now, you guys can see that it was back here in April, back here in February. 2 times we found resistance at 275, and we were able to break through, and now I believe we're trying to come back down to that level. So we are sort of testing that level, and we actually tested that level here in the after earnings, in the after hours. So if I go to the, say, 15-minute, you will see that down at this 275 is where we found some support after earnings was released. So that 275 to me is definitely a strong level and probably where I want to start taking profits on this put option. Now you can see in the after hours today, we moved down to this 275 area again. Not quite there, 275 is down here, but we are sort of in that demand zone. If we go back to the 4-hour, that was the demand zone that I was looking at. So if I zoom back out here, you guys can see this demand zone right here starting to find support once again. So I came into today looking for put options off 288 and then looking to see if I could play this back down to 275 area. So you can see pre-market, rejected it. Now, this is where we get into today's trade. into my, into where I got faked out today on PayPal, and then we'll get into where I re-entered this trade. But I wanted to sort of preface why I was looking to get into this trade just using technical analysis, using 288, a previous support area that we were finding a rejection at, to see if we could play some downside with a price target back where we had previous support. You can see back here on earnings, and then we are starting to find support here actually in the after hours right now. So let's go ahead, jump into the trades that I actually took today, where I got faked out, and where I re-entered these plays. So guys, we're starting here on the 1 minute chart. We're gonna go ahead and break down this intraday. I have the 288 level still mapped out for you guys here on the charts. Now, on the top left, you're gonna see my trades. I lost about $200 on this first trade where I got faked out of this position. So you can see I got in, not the best entry. Got in here in the morning looking for that downside. Now, this is something that I need to improve on because I could have waited a little bit more. In hindsight, obviously it's a little bit easier to say now in hindsight, but looking at this, it does make sense that I probably could have waited for a few tests of this 288 level. Let me go ahead and pull that back up and lock this. So I could have waited a few times, maybe for a few tests of this 288, and definitely could have got a much better entry here on this put option. You guys can see it's clear that my entry was not great. Now, we did start to move higher. I did hold through this. I was in some drawdown, and the reason I held was because that 288 level was the level that I didn't want to see us get above, and if we did get above it, that was my stop. So right here, we failed it, and I started to think, okay, this is great. We're failing that level that we were looking to see if it could fail, that 288 area, and we're starting to move back lower. We did hit this low of day here, thought maybe we'd get that flush, but we did not. We started to rally back. At this time, the NASDAQ was very strong, and PayPal got a little bit of a sympathy move here from the overall tech market. We did move through 288 right here on this candle, and that is where I took my $200 loss on PayPal. Now, in hindsight, it's always easy to analyze this in hindsight, but you can see if I was just a tad more patient, if I just ignored this big candle through 288, ultimately, this stock clearly failed this 288 level, and my technical level was very good. That is one thing that I will take away from this trade that I am happy about, is that coming into today, analyzing this chart with the chat in the pre-market live stream, the 288 level was the level for PayPal to stay below. And ultimately, if you just ignore these few spikes through it, it definitely held below that level. You can see had a lot of trouble here, ended up failing it once again. And from that point, we started to dip back lower. So if I didn't take my loss there, which in hindsight is easy to say, this would have been a profitable trade. But at this point, before seeing what actually ended up happening, I had to cut it. It went above my stop. I have to stick to the rules that I'm coming into a trade with, so I had to cut the loss there. But when I started to watch this later in the day, I did re-enter this play because it started to look great later in the day. So if I go back out, if I zoom out, you can see after failing that 288 level here, we did end up just making lower highs throughout the end of the day and really started to slip here near close in the after hours, down nicely as well, down to that 275, 278 area on PayPal. So after failing that big technical level that we were watching from the pre-market, if I zoom out here, you can see that perfect fail right there. That was the great entry. And that is where PayPal ultimately failed off of. So that's how I got faked out. That was a little bit of my fault for not getting the best entry. Could have done a lot better on the entry there. And that is how I got faked out of this trade. Now, let's go ahead and go into where I re-entered this trade, why I re-entered it, and what I'm currently holding on PayPal into tomorrow. All right, guys, so up on your screen, you're going to see the play that I'm currently in. It is an August 6th 270 put on PayPal, and I got it right around 219 today on PayPal. You can see I posted this chart. This was the rejection I was looking for, and I was looking for the price target of 275. So the reason I re-entered this play around 219, and I'll show you the technicals as to why. So right around here, we started to fail the VWAP, and we started to fall below it. We could not break back above the VWAP right here, and that was right when I thought, okay, PayPal's failing the VWAP, a lot of downward pressure. The NASDAQ is definitely stuck. It was stuck below 15,000, and I was looking to see if I could re-enter this play for a later day slide. It was sliding all day off that 288 resistance. After seeing that 288 resistance fail, I figured I didn't think that PayPal would have the strength to get back above that level. definitely not today, maybe not tomorrow, and maybe not even into next week. So that 288 level, seeing that fail today, just confirmed my idea. And that is something that I always go with trading. When I see a technical level and I see a play, I want to trust my analysis, because if you can't trust your analysis in trading, then what are you even doing? You need to be able to make analysis, take plays, trusting your plays, trusting your analysis, trusting your strategies, and just taking that calculated risk. So when I saw that 288 reject my technical level, I wanted to re-enter this position and try it once again to see if I could get that play that ultimately I think would work out. So I did take that play once again, took a 270 put here, right around 219 after seeing the VWAP fail. And you can see in the after hours, we are getting a nice little fall here. So that's my play. That's when I re-entered it. That is my analysis for entering this. Hopefully you guys can sort of see what I'm looking at. I'll keep you updated on this swing trade that I'm in. If I lose on it, I lose on it. I'm just playing this analysis, playing these technicals, looking for more downside on PayPal after failing that 288. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you can see the education or see the technical analysis that I was doing on this play. All right, guys, so that's really all that I had in today's video. If you're watching the after hours, you can probably tell Amazon's having a very rough time. Didn't report great earnings, bringing the NASDAQ down with it. So tomorrow should be pretty interesting. If the Amazon continues lower tomorrow, it's definitely going to bring the rest of the tech sector down with it. So Friday is going to be very interesting. Let's see if we get more downside. The NASDAQ has surely been stuck around 15K. So at this point, I think the path of least resistance might be down, pick up some more buyers for the next dip buy opportunity. We shall see what happens. It should be an interesting Friday. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.